Hello there, this is Jen Kitzmiller. I'm a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in the Missoula, and I have your planning briefing recorded on Thursday, November 3rd. We're looking at a very active weather pattern coming up, returning to conditions much more similar to winter, especially as we get into early next week. View time frames that we're highlighting, the tonight into Friday morning time frame, we are expecting some snow to develop that will impact all elevations, particularly in north central Idaho and northwest Montana. As we get into Friday afternoon into Saturday, we'll be seeing snow levels increasing with very heavy snow and wind occurring in the mountains. And those gusty winds are expected to surface for all elevations by Saturday morning. As we move into Sunday, we maybe have a brief break in the weather, some dwindling snow showers, a little bit breezy, but we will have an Arctic front that's going to start moving into northwest Montana by that afternoon. And as we get into Monday into Tuesday, we'll have that Arctic cold front passage, bringing blowing and drifting snow and bitter cold, reminiscent to more like December, January. So that's some of the highlights. Looking at the current satellite imagery, the main thing I want to direct you to is this plume of subtropical moisture, also known as an atmospheric river. This is the moisture that's going to be moving into the area here tonight into Saturday, and will be capable of producing very heavy precipitation, especially in the mountains. So looking at a summary of some of these periods we have coming up, the first I'll start with is the snow potential for tonight into Friday morning. As I mentioned initially, snow levels are expected to be low enough that virtually all elevations could see some snowfall, but the main snowfall potential with the higher amounts is really anticipated through central Idaho and northwest Montana. This graphic shows our current forecast for storm total snow from late tonight through Friday morning. And you'll see the valleys of north central Idaho. We're looking at anywhere from a trace up to 3 to 4 inches is possible, with higher amounts in the terrain and over some of the grades in those areas. And that's also going to continue up into the valleys right along the northwest Montana-Idaho Panhandle border. We are expecting snow levels to rise pretty rapidly through Friday morning, so the snow threat for the most part should end for most valley locations by midday Friday. If we encounter some areas that are slower to warm up and we see those lower snow levels linger a little bit more into midday Friday, one concern that we have is that we could see some heavy wet snow that could lead to some snow loading on trees and maybe cause some tree damage and power outages. If this was to occur, would be most likely across northwest Montana, so thinking Yak, Troy, Noxon, those would be the areas most susceptible to that. At this point, we only see it as about a 10 to 20% chance of this occurring, but just something to be aware of. Another factor for Friday morning in particular is we are expecting to see some gusty southerly winds develop on the Camas Prairie, and so we could see a brief period tomorrow morning where we get some blowing snow, particularly for Grangeville down to about Whitebird grade along that Highway 95 corridor, until we start to see those temperatures warm up. Now, as we get into Friday afternoon into Saturday morning, this is the prime time frame when most of that atmospheric river moisture is going to be moving into the region. We're also going to be seeing those snow levels increase. So for the most part in this time frame, valleys will be not really anticipated to see much in the way of snow. But in the higher terrain, the backcountry, and high elevation mountain passes, we will continue to see very heavy snowfall through this time frame. And in particular, we are a bit concerned for those that may be venturing out into the backcountry, as we'll also continue to see winds increasing. And so the coupling of the strong winds and the heavy snow in the backcountry could make for impassable and dangerous conditions. So something to keep in mind. We do have winter weather advisories and warnings in effect for portions of the area through Saturday, so something to keep an eye on and check out before you head out into the back country. So in addition, as we move through the day Saturday, we're going to have a cold front passing, and that cold front is really going to help bring the winds that are in the mountains down into the valley locations as well. This graphic is showing the potential for wind gusts on Saturday, and you'll see much of western Montana. We're looking at gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour with some isolated areas across southwest Montana and maybe even into the Bitterroot Valley, possibly seeing gusts over 60 miles per hour. So of course there's potential for tree damage with winds like that. On top of that, with the recent tree damage we had across northwest Montana, these gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour could cause further damage to those already damaged trees that we had up there from the recent snowfall. So just something to keep in mind there with the winds. And then on top of that, by Saturday midday into Saturday afternoon and evening, there is potential to see some snow squalls develop. This area that I have circled in this kind of dark maroon circle here is the area that would be most susceptible to snow squalls. So generally Lost Trail Pass eastward into Butte, Homestake Pass, McDonald Pass. And what we're expecting here is anywhere that these narrow bands of very heavy snow develop, it will see a combination of strong winds and locally heavy snow that could produce localized whiteout conditions and very dangerous travel due to quick freeze up of road surfaces. So that's something we're going to continue to keep an eye on, but be aware that those areas in particular could see some further impacts due to these snow squalls Saturday. So that's a lot of information, but unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, there is more. As we get into early next week and even late this weekend, we're looking at an Arctic front that's going to be moving through the region. And we've here on this graphic tried to put kind of the average timing based off of an average of all of our forecast models that we have available to us as far as when this Arctic front may start to approach the region. So you'll see across northwest Montana, right along the divide, possibly as early as Sunday morning. But for the most part, it looks like it's going to be in that Sunday afternoon into Sunday night time frame when the main passage of that Arctic front occurs across western Montana. And then how far south and west that front goes and the timing of that is still a little bit up in question, but it could make it into the rest of north central Idaho by late Monday into Tuesday. So still some timing questions here, but of course with the arrival of that front, some of the concerns that we'll have will be wind damage possible, leading to power outages and tree fall. There could be a period of some moderate to heavy snow along that boundary, leading to blowing and drifting snow conditions. Another concern will be potential for a flash freeze as we rapidly see temperatures falling with the front. That could allow things to freeze up and get very slick very quickly. Possibly even some negative wind chill values across northwest Montana in particular. And precipitation types changing to snow and maybe mixing with some freezing rain as that front moves through. So there's a lot of potential impacts here as we get into this late Sunday into Monday time frame. That colder air is going to be in place through at least mid next week, and we'll continue to have this low pressure circulation that's going to sit right along the coastline there in the Pacific Northwest. So that's going to continue to pump Pacific moisture into the region, and it's going to be cold enough where virtually all elevations will be susceptible to snow. So there's still some questions on just how much snow may fall and where the stronger overrunning precipitation may occur. But in any case, it is looking like not only much colder, but potentially snowy at times next week. So that's something we'll continue to hone in on and hopefully be able to give you guys some more details as we get into this weekend. The other thing I want to hit on is this is an abnormally cold air mass for this time of year. We're going to be approaching record cold temperatures for this time of year, especially Tuesday into Wednesday, and we're really talking about bitter cold. This is going to feel like the dead of winter type temperatures, where we could even see some lows below zero, and that's what I have here on this graphic. This is showing the probability for seeing low temperatures below zero next week. And you'll see the highest potential is across northwest Montana and along the Continental Divide, where some cases we're looking at anywhere from a 60 to 90% chance of seeing those below zero temperatures. So bitter cold. Some of the temperatures are going to be a little tricky due to questions on cloud cover and snowfall, so we'll keep an eye on that. But bottom line is, if you have not winterized yet, now is the time to do so, because we'll be fully in winter next week. I'm going to step through some point-specific looks at what temperatures may be like as we move from Sunday into Monday and Tuesday next week. I'm not going to talk in detail on each one of these, but if you want to look at it more specifically, please feel free to pause. So this particular graphic is for Kalispell. You'll see there low or high temperatures by Monday, Tuesday may only top out in the teens. Here's Missoula, Butte, and Grangeville. Okay, so we've done a little digging to compare with climatology how cold this weather system may be, and it looks like particularly across northwest Montana and Kalispell, this could be the coldest Arctic spell to start winter since 1986. So we're looking at about 36 years since we've seen conditions potentially this cold for this time of year. And then here's just a look at some potential daily records that could be broken next week with this Arctic front. And finally, here is our weather impact matrix. Lot to look in here, to take in here. We've got those highlights for the mountain snow and wind Friday into Saturday, and then of course with the change to the Arctic front Monday into Tuesday. This was a lot of information. If you have any other further questions or need some clarification, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We will be doing our next recorded briefing on Sunday, November 6th. And in the meantime, we would love to hear from you if you have any questions. Thanks and have a great day.